All right, welcome to another episode of Adding Perspective with Josh. I'm Josh.
I'm Coach Nrgy.
I'm Aphrodite.
And I'm Edwina.
That's what I'm talking about right there. Jump in. Okay. All right, so this week we're going to talk about, past, relationships, present insecurity, how, I guess, some past relationships can really affect your partner for some strange reason, right? And I think that the reason why I came up with that topic is I think it's interesting how insecurities from a previous relationship can really have a, cause issues in a present relationship with somebody that has nothing to do with that past person. I always find that interesting. And when I kind of think about that sometimes, I just think that, for one, when I kind of think about it, I think that those insecurities are already there. Like that person already had a certain level of insecurities within themselves already. And just because you may have like mentioned that past person or talked about them briefly, that insecurity just kind of got bigger and bigger based on that conversation. But that's just my take on it, right? Like it is a little, but I think that it is a little different. What you guys think?
Well, sometimes you can cause the insecurity by talking about your past partner entirely too much.
But what if they ask about it? Like, what if they ask you, hey,
Okay, so it's the difference between asking and you explaining like one or two times.
Mm-hmm.
But a person that consistently be talking about their past partner and what they did and all this kind of stuff can create an insecurity in your partner. It's not always that the partner comes in a relationship with the insecurity. You can create it. Oh, like, I'm gonna give a prime example. Maybe how y'all used to have sex. So you could be talking about how you had sex with this partner and how they might have did whatever they did 10, 20 times a week. And your partner, who may not be acclimated to doing that 10, 20, 30 times a week, and you just keep talking about it, that's creating an insecurity in them. Because now they feel like they have to live up or somehow uphold this 10 to 20, 30 times you talking about.
That's a good stab at it. I'm just curious. So what happens if, you reassure that person, hey, this, I'm not trying to compare you to that person, anything like that, and they still kind of bring it up.
So why you keep talking about it? What's the point?
I'm just saying, like,
there's no point to keep talking about something you ain't trying to compare me to, because compare your partner to, because at the end of the day, this is me and you. So why is me, you, and your ex-partner in this conversation? You could talk about your ex-partner entirely too much, and it creates other issues.
Mm-hmm.
I also think it's a different perspective from a man's point of view. I mean, because men seem to be more, I know this is kind of off topic, but say it's one of them double standards where if a man cheats and the woman keeps forgiving, but it is in reverse, it's the man won't forgive. And bring that into this conversation, meaning that, when that happens, usually in that type of scenario, the man has in his head all these ideas of what happened. If he doesn't want you to describe what happened, tit for tat. Now, as you have already discussed the past relationship or what happened, and they seem to hold on to it for some reason or another. So even if you don't talk about it every day, or even if you don't mention it every day, it's still harbored in the back of their thoughts, and it comes out in different conversations here and there, I believe, because they want to hold everything. They don't say, okay, women, we do forgive, don't forget, but they're thinking about it the whole time, whether they're saying something about it or not, is what I think.
Total double standard. Yes.
Yes. They do exist.
I mean, everybody thinks of things here and there and don't necessarily say it out loud now, okay? Depending on
not till it comes to conversation anyway.
But what about those people that like they make jokes about something, right? They make jokes about it but they say they joking, but they not really joking.
Not joking?
Yeah, that's it. Like, they really not joking about it and stuff like that. Like,
I ain't trying to be funny, but I think more men do that than women.
Hey, I was thinking that. You took it right off the top of my tongue. Exactly.
But Josh, you can jump in at any time and correct me.
I mean, I think some men do that. Okay. I'm not saying every man do that. I ain't
saying every man. I just think in my experience, I have seen more men do it than women.
I don't know the numbers, okay? I don't know the official numbers. I don't know the national numbers, regional numbers, international numbers. I don't know any of those. But but I think that people use humor or I guess levity to break up difficult like conversation. Like people try to make jokes of certain things that they find uncomfortable. Like, say for instance, we already put it out there. If a person is insecure about their bedroom skills and stuff like that, they'll crack, little small jokes about it. But in reality, they real messed up. Like they messed up about the fact that things ain't going right or whatever the case may be. But they use that humor to kind of get past that. Like, you do. But again, I'm not sure from you guys' standpoint, how do you kind of get past that? Because I know for a fact y'all ain't gonna use no humor. Y'all ain't gonna be like, okay, ha ha ha, this ain't working. Like, if anything, y'all gonna be pissed off.
Josh was gonna be like, ha ha ha. You know what? That didn't work. Or we could just be like, see what happened was.
Yeah, that's when you gotta go check somebody's browser history right there. You're looking at what's in that Amazon cart. You know what I'm saying? Like, what you ordering? You know what I'm saying? There's a lot of do-it-yourself happening right now. Okay,
And we talk about how we got to that subject again.
You open the door, okay? You open the door, okay?
Yeah, but you turn left.
I was going right?
Somebody had to do it, okay?
That's too funny.
But that's part about those insecurities, though, because if you actually think about it, especially from the door I just opened, right? That Amazon cart starts filling up with other stuff. Think about how insecure a person gonna be, okay? Think about that, right? Like, I'm just saying. Like, the whole battery aisle in your nightstand, you gonna really feel really upset. Like, okay? Like, you gonna be upset, okay?
Just don't need batteries anymore, you know that, right? They cordless now.
I'm just saying, right? Like, that's how some...
Don't you need batteries if it's cordless?
Oh, they cordless. No, so you just plug in, like,
the USB.
That's too much education, I'm sorry.
Rechargeable.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Sorry about that.
I know you're good. I was like, that's new technology right there.
I know, they charge.
Look it up.
Like, dang, technology advancing.
What I was saying is that, the batteries off the aisle are not going to disappear anymore. They're not going to be on the nightstand. It's going to be the charger like you charge your phone.
Oh, man. Oh, that's so funny. Mm-hmm. That's hilarious.
Okay, so we were talking about insecurity. I'm sorry.
But it's all in the same line, though. So, and I guess that's just from a male standpoint right there, right? Like, if you pleasing the toys more than you pleasing the person, there go that insecurity right there. Okay, like.
Hey, well, what am I here for?
Exactly.
So was it? But why would they even go to the toys? It clearly was an issue.
Yeah.
Yeah. But was there communication with the issue, though, about the issue?
Exactly. Right. Exactly.
Yeah.
Well, then it comes with a capability of being taught as well. Because if you don't want to learn, what can you do?
Yeah, you hit the nail on the head. That learning part. Okay. The learning part is very.
Yeah, and then the other person got to be willing to teach. You can't just expect them to know everything you like either. So.
Yeah, but it's how
to teach and they willing to learn, and you got somewhere to go. If ain't nobody talking, then yeah,
it's how you teach though. Because think about it, most men, right, are very prideful, right, and taking instructions depending on what the subject matter is. Mm-hmm. At some point, it kind of messes with that person's like pride. You know what I'm saying? Like you get very like sensitive, like real sensitive about that. And especially from that area, you don't want a drill sergeant, right? Like you don't want to do that. Like do A, B, C, you do it like this type. Nah, you didn't get no cooperation, none. I'm just saying. I think that most people don't. I guess when it comes to like insecurities, what kind of fine line that is with that communication standpoint, like. If a person has a particular insecurity, your communication about that insecurity has to be spot on. Like it has to be like all words has to be chosen correctly, all that kind of stuff. Because if you choose the wrong word with that person that has the insecurity, it may subsequently make that insecurity like worse. Like it might really just make it worse to that person because they already feel a certain kind of way about, whatever that instance is to begin with.
Yeah, it's a sensitive topic.
They do. It is. Yeah. But again, it's on the whole insecurity thing. What about, people that have issues with how they look physically, like those types of insecurities, right? And that if a person has that type of issue, again, choosing your words wisely when it comes to, how you say things, how you approach things, with that person, because again, subsequently it can make it worse.
Yeah.
So this whole, I guess, premise about, the past coming into your present with, from an insecurity standpoint, do you think that there's an actual way to, I don't even think it's the actual way to help a person with their insecurities per se. I think that the person getting to a point to address or like to recognize the fact that they have particular insecurities. I think that's the only way to actually try to fix it.
Yeah, you can be a supportive role, play a supportive role, but they need to be the ones to address whatever that issue is that's bothering them in this new relationship.
I think that's a video you guys did before about bringing in baggage from previous relationships. Kind of some of the same instances that are going on right there. Because if you haven't cleared up the baggage you had before, I can do everything that you ever asked me to do, make dreams come true, hang the stars and the moon, and it still won't do any good. So at some point, that person is going to have to address that particular baggage, or some type of way cut off that this is a whole new person. Until they give me a reason to think along the lines of this is looking like this past relationship back here, you have to start on a clean slate. To some point, anyway.
Yep. That's why it's important to take time in between relationships before jumping into a new relationship, because you need to work out whatever happened, whatever you're now dealing with from that old or past relationship before you come into the next one. But too many people jump right into another one. They don't give themselves time to work things out. They don't give themselves time to go through self-healing. They don't give themselves time to become aware of the changes that they may have made internally or even physically, externally. If it was a stressful relationship and they gained weight or they lost weight, because it can go either way. People have to give themselves time between relationships so you're not commingling.
Yeah. I often wonder what their people's partners think when a person has a particular, I guess, insecurity. I often wonder what goes through that person's mind after the, let's just say 10th or 15th time that person has probably brought up something. that you've, I guess, reassured them that, they shouldn't feel a certain kind of way about? I often wonder what goes through a person's mind. Like, and I think in my head, I'm thinking, okay, now we talking about this again? Like, I thought we already talked about this kind of stuff. Mm-hmm. Now we back on this again. But
it causes frustration.
I would think so, But but that's the thing, like, is there a way to reduce that frustration though, right? Or is that something that you just gotta suck it up and just deal with?
Why your insecurity gotta cause your partner to be frustrated, and your partner gotta suck it up and deal with it? No, you deal with your insecurity. Like, why are we talking about the same stuff 100 times after I don't reassured you that I'm good over here? So that means your partner need to address whatever they got going on, because at the end of the day, it's putting stress on their relationship.
Yeah.
And then what happens when your partner be like, oh, I can't take this no more, I'm out.
Yeah.
What if it's coming from a perspective of the person? Maybe they do have underlying insecurities, or maybe he didn't think he or she didn't have insecurities to begin with. The insecurities came in the notion of getting to know each other, and you guys saying, well, this past relationship, this, and his past relationship, this. Like I say, it comes back to mostly me, and I think I could be wrong, retaining that information. So even with them, it becomes a comparison that may not have been there before, or at least may not have been evident before. And they take it as a comparison to be better, or to compare themselves. Well, you did this before. Let me make sure that you can still do this. Or you could go shop when you wanted to shop. So let me make sure you can still do that. So they're comparing themselves to what was before, to maybe in a way try to sustain the relationship current.
Well, the thing about it is communication, and don't assume anything. Ask. Do you still expect? What is your expectation? Stop assuming. And then you won't have to worry about comparing and trying to figure out if I want to shop like I was shopping with the prior person. Also, I personally believe it's a limit to speaking about your past relationships. I think it's a limit, and I think it should be boundaries to that.
Okay.
I think so too. Shoot, like I said, if your previous partner did anything better than the current partner is, don't talk about it ever. Okay, don't
don't discuss body
don't discuss it ever. Okay, no. Okay, ever. Even on a bet, don't discuss it. Okay, like, lie to me.
Oh my God. No.
He said lie to him.
No. Because it's going to come up in an argument. And that's why it's better than you anyway. It's going to come out. The truth is going to come out. So don't lie about it. People, do not lie about it. Just be honest. Okay?
I just think it's a limit to that, because certain things I just believe certain things don't need to, whatever I did over here, we ain't doing that here. We two different people. And it just don't, certain stuff just don't need to be discussed.
Like ever, or just like a lot.
Some stuff don't need to be discussed ever. Whatever was over there is over there. Okay? That's just me. Okay? To me, it's a boundary. Whatever was over there is over there.
So
we right here. So what we gonna create new? We ain't talking about over there.
So what's an example of something that is like off the table between you and your new boo, your new partner, that you're like, we're not talking about that ever?
Anything sexual. Anything. Anything that's sexual. Anything. Off the table. Off the table.
Body counts is off the table. If you not about to ask me how many sex partners I don't have, we're not talking about that. That's whatever that was in the past. You my sex partner today. Thanks. Let's go.
She said today. She didn't say right now. She said today.
I'm just saying because men, like I have seen men have just form a certain opinion about women because they feel like maybe they was hoish or whatever, but that whatever they did 20 years ago or whatever does not mean they're doing it today.
That's a double standard because they can have just as many as you, and then to them it's still okay. What?
So I just believe certain things are just off limits.
Yeah.
I think it's according to who you're dating or what. I think it's according to who you're dating. You have to know who you're talking to. You have to know who you're dating in order to know how you're going to establish that communication and those boundaries.
Because some people can't take it. Be honest.
Some people cannot take what you say.
That's true.
That's true. But wouldn't you want to know that up front though? Like, wouldn't you want to be able to be honest and find out how this person reacts to maybe not so good news? So therefore, you know, if this is a person of a certain character that you can, or that you even want to move forward with based off of how they can handle something from your past. To me, that's how I look at it.
So it's plenty of things we can talk about from my past that might piss you off. That I'm gonna see you have a reaction to it, but it's plenty of things that I ain't gonna tell you from my past that I'm gonna keep to myself because that's my business. And whatever I did with John over here, I ain't doing it with you because I learned my lesson over here with John. I'm good.
I hear you.
I'm curious though. So Nrgy, you on the other side of it. So you're saying that you will talk to your part about it. Just lay it out there, like everything. Just lay like there's no rule to what you won't tell the person, and
not if it's a person that we're deep enough into a relationship and I'm moving towards possibility of marriage. Then if it's to that level, then yeah, there's nothing off the table. If I can sit there, for me, if I can say I can see myself spending the rest of my life with this person and growing old with this person, then I personally am not going to intentionally keep anything off the table if it's being brought up for us to discuss. You know, like if it's an opportunity to talk about something, if it's right there in front of us and we need to talk about it or we can, then I'll talk about it. I'm not, of course, you can't bring up every single thing from your past because that's impossible. There's just some things that you don't remember. But I'm not going to intentionally keep something away from a person if I am that serious with someone. Now, at the early stages of just kind of dating, getting to know a person, well, then absolutely, there's just some things you don't need to know because you haven't qualified to find out all of those pieces of information about me. But a potential husband, yeah, I'm gonna be honest with him because I would rather him find out from me than from somebody else.
That's admirable. I go with that. That's very admirable. It is.
I grew up saying the left hand don't always need to know what the right hand doing. So I know how to be quiet sometimes. I'm good. In a marriage, I can still be quiet. I'm good.
I mean, I think you really just have to know who you're dealing with. Like you do. Like you really have to know that person's mind state, mindset, philosophies, autobiography, all that. Like you gotta know that person, okay? Like you do, like real good. Because anything that's very personal, anything that's very sensitive, especially that person like really like cares for you, love you, stuff like that. Anything you say about anything that doesn't involve them it may hit them a little different. Like it may hit that person a little different. And again, it may be a man, it may be a woman thing, but it's just telling you, some people's psychological thing, they just can't take it in like that. Like they
right. And I agree. For me, that's why I would rather know before I go to, before I actually marry a person. I need to know who I'm marrying.
You don't know though. Like think about that. Like even if you test the waters a little bit, get to know the person, all that kind of stuff, that information that you're giving that person at that point is new information. Like it's like you just rolling that out to them or whatever the case may be. and you don't know how they respond if this, like, whatever that information you give them, you don't know how they gonna like take that. Like,
exactly.
That kind of
That's
stuff.
why I'm going to talk about it before I even go that far with them, because I need to see how they handle certain situations, how they handle certain topics, how they handle receiving pieces of information. Like, the only way to find out is to see it in action. And so for me, I would prefer to know who I'm dealing with, as opposed to just leaving it up to, well, hopefully we never talk about anything like this and it never comes up. I would rather know, again, with the mindset of a life commitment.
Yeah. Well, with the life commitment, would you want to know, or do you guys think it would be too much if, from a marriage standpoint, wanting to know, okay, so you were married a time before, or maybe twice before, would you want to know what went wrong between those, or would that be too much as far as bringing it into the current relationship?
I don't think that's too much. Oh, go ahead. I'm sorry.
No. You go ahead. Go ahead.
Go ahead.
I don't think that's too much. Again, so to answer this question, I have to know myself enough to know the type of person that I need to be with. If I'm someone who is open and okay with handling or discussing anything that may be rough, that may not be so pleasant, but I understand how to handle the conversation and how to manage my emotions and my thoughts, I'm looking for a partner who can do the same thing, who can handle the conversations the same way. That's something that's of value to me. So that's a part of getting to know a person. So if we can't talk about, so now coming to your question, if we can't talk about a past marriage or relationship and what happened, that's something that's really basic. And if we can't talk about that, then we may not be for each other, because then that means most of our conversations are going to be kept on the surface, and I'm trying to go deeper with the person.
But some people may retain that information with the idea that you hold it against them going forward. Like we brought up the example before, like cheating. So, I mean, the last relationship you cheated, and maybe the marriage before that you cheated. And so you think, okay, this is just an X out right here. We can't do this because this seems to be a pattern, maybe.
Oh, that's a pattern.
Right.
But it's so stickler to where that person might not have been for them. I mean, instead of meaning,
I'm not saying that they're going to cheat with the person. Right. I'm not saying that they're going to cheat, but it is a pattern, though. It is a pattern.
It is. Yeah. I'm just saying from the respect of, I don't want you to hold this against me, so why should I tell you that type thing? Maybe that's how they would think, because I don't want you to prejudge me before we even get that far. Because some people just aren't for the other person, is what I'm trying to say, I guess. I think if you find that right person, potentially that would not be the scenario if it got to marriage at that point. It might not be the scenario of what potentially could break you guys up, but I don't know. I'm just thinking people hold stuff, but with that idea of, I'm going to keep this piece because I don't want them to prejudge me on that piece as we go forward in a new relationship.
Yeah, and you're right. That's a lot of what people do. A lot of people do that. And in my opinion, that's taking the other person's ability to make a choice away. You have to allow me to make that choice if I want to be with you after finding out if you've cheated on 2 of your prior marriages. You shouldn't keep that information from me because you don't want me to know that about you, so I can't possibly say, oh, I don't want to be with someone who has cheated before. If that's the person I'm dealing with, then that's not a person for me. So that right there in and of itself is a reason why, that's why it's so important to just be honest and talk about those things. Mm-hmm. Anyone who feels that it's necessary or okay for them to withhold information intentionally, so therefore a proper decision can be made with all knowledge being given, that's deceptive. And it's selfish. And if I don't want to be with a person like that, then that's my right.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. You know, that opens up a whole new wrinkle in the conversation. I'm not sure if you know. If you
so
know
let me put this disclaimer out here, because I know what you're going to do. So this disclaimer for everyone who's listening. I believe people can change. Okay. I am personally not saying that, oh, that's what I would do. But just generally speaking, do not take someone else's choice from them. I believe people can change. Yeah, just because a person cheated before doesn't mean they're going to cheat in the future. I agree with that. But at least let me make that choice. Disclaimer. Because I know what Josh going to do. It's going to be a highlight of what I just said in 24 hours.
Throw it under the bus.
Thank you. Exactly.
I'm not doing anything. I'm not saying anything, okay?
Edwina just called it out. She just called it out. She's been a viewer and she has seen how you have done me.
No, but what I was gonna say is some information people deem so sensitive that they don't like always disclose. And the main reason why I say that is, you know how those some people, they may have had a history with like sexual abuse, right? And they're past. Like some people find it very hard to like disclose that information to whoever their partner is. And that doesn't necessarily mean that they're like being dishonest or anything like that. It just means that there's, I guess, certain safeguard up that they have for themselves that sometimes it's hard to like allow other people in with that particular information. So that's kind of what I wanted to add to that point that you were making, that it's some information that's just, it's classified differently. Yes.
Absolutely. And I agree. That's why I also was very intentional about with my response of saying someone that I'm coming to the point of choosing to spend the rest of my life with, of choosing to commit to. Again, it's different. It's levels to everything. Yeah. So I agree. You know, if you're just dating someone and if the topic doesn't necessarily come up, and if you're not quite ready to discuss something that happened, some sort of sexual abuse that may have happened to you in your past, and you're still at the early stages of just getting to know a person, I completely understand. However, something as sensitive as that, and you're talking about wanting to move forward in life with a person, that's something, I don't care how classified it is, it still needs to be discussed, because your new partner, they need to be aware of what they could possibly be getting themselves into, such as what triggers, I hate to use that term, but maybe what triggers you may have. What do you have nightmares? Are there certain ways of touching you that they need to not do? Are there certain words and maybe coming on to you that just doesn't work with you because of what you've gone through? So your partner needs to know. But again, there are levels to it.
Yeah.
But that is something that a person needs to know. And this is the thing, in my opinion, if a person isn't ready to talk about that, of course, again, and deeper into a relationship where you're possibly considering marrying the person, if a person is still not ready to talk about that, then they haven't healed from it. They still need to do some work. And is it right? Is it time for them to get into this relationship? Like, is it the right time? Because for most people, once they've gone through that healing journey and have kind of dealt with those issues and that trauma, then they tend to be open to discussing it, still within, a confidant or, the right type of audience or whatever. So you still have to think about that too. Well, if you're not ready to talk about it, are you ready to get into something serious?
Yeah, I have a varying opinion about that, but yeah.
So if you were getting married and your wife, your potential wife was had that dealt with that before, that sexual trauma, you would not want to know, period? You wouldn't want her to tell you?
I mean, yes, I would, but in the same degree, you gotta look at it like this. Everybody that has experienced something like that on a personal level has a certain sensitivity to speaking about that, which means that they will disclose that only to people that they know for 100% fact will safeguard that information and not just turn around and try to, manipulate them or try to use that whole thing against them is the thing. So I've heard of situations where people have refrained from telling their partners certain things because of that fact that they're not 100% sure that information wouldn't be, skewed against them. And this is even going towards marriage. Like, you'll still be that sensitive to like hold on to that information. Like in rare cases, it's very touchy.
Yeah, I agree. And I said pretty much that same thing when I used the terminology confidant. That's exactly the same thing that I was saying. Also, when I was talking about getting closer to maybe that point of committing your lives to each other, it's still the same thing of being sensitive with the information, because the subject itself is sensitive, and being mindful of who your audience is. I even use that term, your audience, because it's not just something to just be blurted out there, for sure. Because no matter if you've dealt with it in therapy, you've gotten over the trauma, you're good with it, you still want to be mindful about who you share that information with, because at the end of the day, it is sensitive. So for me, using your example, if a person is not sure about their partner, then that's still something that needs to be questioned. Like, okay, if I can't trust my partner with this information, then do I need to even be with this person? So yeah. I'm saying the same thing that you're saying, but I'm also taking it a step further.
It's not just about the partner, though. Sometimes it's that thing within themselves too that makes them less likely to want to disclose that information too. So it may not be 100% about their partner. It may be 50%, whatever, but it may not be 100% about that person. It may be like that hesitation for even disclosing. So what you're saying, what I'm saying, yes, it's similar. We're just kind of adding different components to it.
Yeah.
We're saying the same thing.
Yeah. And I mentioned that, I believe, at least I think I did, when I stated that if that person is not ready to talk about it, then maybe they still need to get help to help them get through and deal with the trauma.
Mm-hmm. I'm with you. We say the same thing.
Oh, yeah.
I'm with you. Y'all want to add anything? I know this was
y'all quiet.
That's because you and Josh had it going. Y'all was rolling.
Also, Edwina, shaking your head. What's your thoughts on everything?
Well, you were just bringing up some points that I was thinking actually in my head about the different situations of the example that was being used, sexual trauma, about knowing how to touch, how not to touch, what to do, what not to do. So that's what I was agreeing with, because I was going to speak on that. But you're all in there as usual.
No, I'm talking about right there. You got all that out of there. But that's the thing about this topic. This is another one of those complex, conversations right here. I love it. It's great. Talking about the how, I guess, past situations with other people can really affect your present relationship. But I don't think we ever just kind of landed on, is there like a way to kind of lessen that whole insecurity type situation happening in your present relationship? I don't think we actually landed anywhere with that. I think that was more it's pretty much on that person per se. Is that where we landed at? Like, it's on that person with the insecurity?
Well, no, because I don't believe it's just on that person, especially like I said at the beginning, you can create this insecurity by certain things as well, So it's on both of them, you and the partner, to figure out exactly what triggered the insecurity, right? Now they brought the insecurity in there, then I could build support, but that's on you. But if I triggered it by my actions, my words, then I need to take responsibility for my stuff and move forward.
Okay.
Yeah, I agree.
In that, I believe that at some point, after reassuring so much, that person needs to have some type of acceptance, which always goes back to communication. That says, I'm not going to waste your time, because if I'm wasting your time, I'm wasting my time. You know how you say it. So anything that's a problem or that's an issue, I'm going to bring forward to you. So if I'm telling you that we're good, at some point that person has to accept that what I'm telling you is fact, instead of assuming that I'm just trying to, sugarcoat it just so you stop bringing up the conversation. At some point you have to accept that what I'm telling you is what I mean, in order for that person to stop, what if back then, and what if back then you did this, that, or the third. But at some point you got to be willing to accept what I'm telling you.
Yeah, I'm going to tie in both of what you said. So I agree that it's not just on the person. I'm all about teamwork. That's just my mindset. Anytime I'm dealing with relationships, whether it be platonic or intimate relationships, it's all about teamwork. Yes, there is one person who has the primary responsibility of dealing with their own issues or whatever. However, if you are joined with someone, then I do believe that they have to play that supporting role, or it would help if they play that supporting role. And along with that, yes, I agree, Edwina, that at some point, a person does just simply have to accept what you're saying. But I'm gonna go a little bit further and then also add on that actions also speak louder than words. So your partner in their supportive role should also show and do certain things, or maybe stop doing certain things in order to assist during this sensitive time. So that's just what I wanted to add.
Yeah. So what I want to add is whenever you're having specific conversations with your partner, and especially if this is anything based on their past with other people, I want the person to really consider the question that they're asking their partner, and whether they really want to hear the truth or not. Like that's the thing, okay? Because
that's the key.
It's a lot of stuff that people really don't want to know the answer, like the real answer to, but they ask anyway.
Exactly.
And that's very dangerous. That's a very dangerous thing to do. So my advice, right, would be to be cognitively aware of the questions you ask your partner about the past and their partner. Okay? Because if you choose to go down that road and ask your partner a specific question and expect a transparent answer from them, don't blame your partner for the fact that they were honest with you about, what happened in their past and stuff like that. And definitely don't use it against them, because they chose to give you information like that you asked for. So let's make sure we make that a valid little point. So on that note, another great episode of Adding Perspective with Josh. I'm Josh.
Be honest. Don't take another person's choice away from them. Let them choose to be with you with all your flaws. I'm Coach Nrgy.
I'm Aphrodite, but I'm just saying it's boundaries to that, in my personal opinion. However you choose to do it, that's on you. I'm Aphrodite.
I'm a winner.
I guess that's it.